The Linea Shelter houses over 600 dogs of all different shapes and sizes, around a third of which are abandoned by people from Gibraltar.
They're skin and bone, they've been neglected, others have been beaten, actually have welts along their body. It depends really, and some are in perfect condition, and until of course how long can they be and remain in that condition in a shelter with 600 other dogs with very little money. The shelter is actually, the building per se is quite an old building, and recently chunks of the roof have actually been falling down onto the dogs, which obviously exposes the dogs to the cold air and to the rain, and obviously it's very dark, it's dismal really. They do what they can because there's very little funding. They actually just run on charitable donations.
And aside from fundraising, which is obviously really important, there are other things that people can do to help, such as giving food and blankets, as well as volunteering to walk the dogs.
Sure, so every Saturday and Sunday morning we have organised walks at 10 o'clock in the morning, and generally we get about 20 volunteers that come from Gibraltar and actually Spain, and they come along, walk the dogs.
Recently we helped rehome a dog that had been there for 7 years, actually one of the first residents of the shelter. And after 7 years, that dog has now got a loving home. So, all types, all ages.
The Animals in Need Foundation supports the shelter in all sorts of different ways, and often tries to rehome the dogs abroad in countries where there are less stray dogs in need. Last year, a German team rehomed 500 dogs from the shelter, and they're currently in the process of finding more homes for dogs back in Germany.
It was very, very hard for almost everybody today, because everybody starts crying seeing the dogs here, and it is my second time here, but most of our group is here for the first time, and it's not very easy to see the dogs in this situation there, but when they come in their homes, it's
what it's all about.
Absolutely.
There are also animals in the Gib Vets needing homes. However, it's important for dogs to be placed with the right people who are ready for the responsibility.
Mainly these animals are found abandoned around Gibraltar. Some of them are brought in by the owners because they can't look after them very much or any longer, and we try and find homes for them.
And when you try and find homes for these animals, you're quite careful about where you place them, aren't you?
Yeah, we usually are. First of all, they need to make sure that they're willing to actually take on an animal. That can be, if we're talking about cats or dogs, it can be an average around 15 years, 10 to 15 years, sometimes even more. And they need to make sure that they are ready to actually take on all that responsibility and all that expense.
So we're here with this old chap, his name is Bertie. Tell us a little bit about Bertie's story.
Right, Bertie's been here for about 4 months more or less, and as you can see, he's quite old, so he really desperately needs a good home.
So if watching this has tugged at your heartstrings, you can find out more from the Gib Vets and the Animal in Need Facebook pages. Sadly, the dogs can't help themselves, and so they need us humans to help them out in any way we can.